Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time for another competitive Brawl Stars tier list. Because we've had quite a bit of changes since the most recent balance changes, guys. You can just ask this guy. Yeah, Kairos, I pretty much have no idea what's going on right now. Well, it's okay, noob time. I got you back. And of course, guys, the Brawl Stars tier list is partnered with BrawlStats.com and the iOS and Android app that they have available. If you haven't already tried it out, you definitely need to at least take a look at the best brawlers for every map feature that me and my tier list collaborators put up there and that we help keep updated for you guys. And speaking of them, a huge thank you to the tier list collaborators that helped with putting tier list version 13 together. There are links to their Twitters in the description and comment section below, so make sure you go give them a follow. Let's go ahead and start off with the gem grab changes. Go ahead and grab your screenshot really fast. Starting off, we have Bibi moving from the B tier up into the golden S tier position, replacing Jean. Now, a lot of overpowered threats have received nerfs, including Jean, Carl, and Rosa, allowing Bibi to really shine. She offers consistent pressure to enemies with her high health, incredible DPS, and unique knockback ability. Now, her increased survivability has made the delay that's associated with her regular attack less of a liability in 1v1 interactions, allowing her to really thrive. Bo is also moving from the A tier up into the S tier. Powerful ranged gem carriers that can keep their distance from Jean pulls are now able to be played a lot more effectively because of Jean's nerf. This actually fits Bo perfectly, especially after his recent buffs to his supercharge and attack damage. Now, Penny is also moving from the A tier up into the S tier. Very similar to Bo, she really benefits from Jean's nerfs. And of course, guys, her star power is just incredibly strong. In fact, a lot of people are just calling it broken. You mean the people that actually have her star power, Kairos? This guy. Noob time. We also have Rosa moving from the S tier down into the A tier with a lot less oomph into her punch and a decreased ability to like recycle her supers over and over again. Rosa just can't sustain the aggression like she used to be able to. Carl's also moving from the S tier down to the A tier. Now, this was actually a really close vote. A lot of the pros actually still think that she might be S tier. Sometimes pure numbers can just really render a brawler less viable, and that seems to be the case for Carl. Also, Carl's slower shot speed at max levels makes it harder for his shots to actually land, and that makes him slightly less competitive as well. Tara's also moved from the S tier down into the A tier. She was kind of like borderline S tier status simply because she just did such a good job at countering Rosa. Now that Rosa is less competitively viable, so is Tara. Bull is actually being removed from the competitive tier list. It was really close, but Bull is actually really vulnerable to like S tier brawlers like Bibi and Nita. Jean is less prevalent, so that means that there's less reason to like play a Bull who does a good job at countering Jean's pull. So we decided to take him off for now. And this, guys, we got the solo showdown tier list. If you didn't grab that screenshot, it's too late. I mean, I guess you could always go back 10 seconds. For starters, we got Rosa moving from the S tier down into the A tier. Previously, Rosa could really quite often just like load up her super off of one interaction with another brawler, but her increased super charge requirement actually makes it so she requires typically like 2 melee interactions, and that makes her a lot less viable. El Primo is also moving from the A tier down to the B tier. There are a lot of like really open maps in Showdown right now, and there's just a lot less trust in teaming with high DPS melee brawlers, so his short range tends to make him really a big target for groups to like pinch him off, and really he's just a little difficult up in higher trophy levels to really be competitive. Penny, however, is moving from non-ranked up into the B tier. This is mostly because of her turret star power. It's just, you just can't take it out without like posing a massive risk against you, and it hurts a lot. Next, we've got the duo showdown tier list. For starters, we have Crow replacing Jean as the golden S tier brawler. Jean's nerf really did hurt him quite a bit, and he's still decent, but Crow has always been a very solid duo showdown option. His poison keeps enemies back, and his super is incredibly versatile. He definitely does take back his throne as being the brawler of choice for duo showdown. Interestingly enough, we have Piper moving from the B tier up into the A tier for duo showdown. Now, most showdown maps in rotation are very open, and Piper poses really the biggest threat from a long range. A duo partner can actually help balance her melee vulnerability, making her a great option in duo showdown. Similarly, we have Poco moving from the B tier up into the A tier. This is mostly due to the addition of these really powerful and versatile melee and aggressive type options that have been introduced into the game, like Carl, Bibi, and Rosa. They just make really good options to pair up with Poco, making him a lot more viable. Penny's moving from non-ranked up into the A tier, and it was actually really close. to moving up into the S tier position. Now with 2 brawlers on guard to like protect her turret and a very powerful built-in defense mechanism with her star power, Penny is very viable. Her star power is just it's really good. Bull's moving from the A tier down to the B tier. There are a lot stronger melee threats like Rosa, Bibi, and even kind of like Carl a little bit. He's just too vulnerable to ranged threats if the map really isn't good for him. So he's moving down. Okay guys, you guessed it. Up next we've got the Heist tier list. Starting off, we have Brock replacing Carl as the golden S tier brawler. Various tanks are also really great options like Bull in Heist, but Brock usually is the go-to consistent brawler. His range allows him to maintain control from a distance without charging the enemy supers, and when attacking the safe, enemy respawns don't result in instant death like melee brawlers tend to die when the enemy respawns. Carl's moving from the golden S tier down to the A tier. It was a really tight vote between S and A, but the less DPS makes it harder for him to provide meaningful control to a lot of the tanks that actually dominate the mode. Rosa's also moving from the S tier down to the A tier because of her lower DPS. It's really actually pretty critical against that safe, especially with these aggressive tank-based games, sometimes resulting in like safe rushes. She just doesn't have the ability to cycle her super as well, and this really decreases her pressure in Heist. Bibi's moving up from the B tier up into the A tier, and we're really close to putting her up into the S tier as well. She's got the speed, high HP, and a really decent DPS, plus she's a natural counter to many of the tanks because of her knockback ability. Jessie's moving from the A tier into the B tier. She is a really unique option on many maps, and her turret can do really well against many of the tanks in these open type conditions, but on these open maps, her turret is very susceptible to Brock, and on closed maps, it's really susceptible to throwers. So it's kind of difficult. It's kind of like a meta pick that you have to go with Jessie. Penny's moving from the non-ranked up into the B tier. This is really mostly just due to her star power, making her a lot more viable than before, and also if all of the cannonballs land on the enemy safe, it'll do over 10,000 damage to it, which is crazy. Next, guys, we got the Brawl Ball changes. Starting off, we've got Bibi moving from the A tier up into the S tier, replacing Carl as the golden S tier brawler. Now, the nerfs to the old meta brawlers, as well as increased health, allows Bibi to really win most of these 1v1 situations now. Her speed makes her a great ball carrier, and her knockback ability makes her a great defender. Rosa's moving from the S tier to the A tier. Rosa's still a great option, but the fact that she just gets her super less frequently and that it doesn't last as long really impacts her ability to carry the ball. Jean is also moving from the S tier down to the A tier. While still a strong option, Jean's nerfs translate to him representing much less of a threat to the enemy because of that decreased range of his super. Bo, however, is moving from the B tier up into the A tier. His increased viability is mostly due to the fact he has improved damage. He just packs a huge punch on both offense and defense, and can also keep enemy brawlers away from him because of his long range. Rico's also moving from the B tier up into the A tier. It was a really close vote on Rico here. Although he's really vulnerable on defense, Rico tends to really allow for great offensive plays by chipping away at brawlers with his revamped damage. Next is Penny, moving from the non-ranked position up into the B tier. Really, in control-oriented modes where brawlers are sometimes encouraged to like move back and forth and kind of do that hovering movement, Penny's improved star power can really completely eliminate an enemy brawler if they happen to not be paying attention. Yo, Kairos, I get hit by her star power all the time, and I always pay attention. Yeah, noob time. I really believe it. And next, guys, we've got the bounty changes. Now, starting off, we have Piper replacing Jean as the golden S tier brawler. Jean's decreased super range substantially decreased his ability to dominate in bounty. And this means that Piper is able to once again retake the throne and make herself Queen of Bounty. Bo's also moving from the A tier up into the S tier. Now, this was a really close vote, but ultimately we decided that his increased damage just really allows him to regain that S tier position in Bounty because it's just so much easier for him to finish off enemy brawlers. Bibi's moving from the non-ranked position up into the B tier. She's not the best option, but on the right map, she can act as really quite the threat, especially on those maps with lots of walls. Poco's moving from non-ranked position up into the B tier. With quite a few tank options in the B tier, aggressive strategies that rely on heals means that Poco actually offers a very fun off-meta use. Okay, guys, up next, we've got the Siege tier list. Penny is going to be replacing Carl as the Golden S tier. Again, this has everything to do with her star power. Not only does it pose a huge threat to enemies when it explodes, but its interactions with the robot and the Ike are absolutely game-breaking. Bibi's also making her way from the A tier up into the S tier. All Bibi really needed to shine was for her HP to really get buffed, and now she's just incredibly good in Siege. She can knock players back, steal their bolts, and just bully people altogether. Rose is moving down from the S tier into the A tier. Now with Bibi's dominance, specifically because of her knockback, along with Rose's nerfs, that means that Rose is just going to be a lot less dominant in this mode. She's still a great option, just not the powerhouse that she used to be. Gene is also moving from the S tier down to the A tier. His ability to pull brawlers within the Ike's zone is severely compromised with his decreased range, and that's led to a lot less Gene play in Siege. Frank is moving from the S tier down to the A tier. This was a really close vote, and while his stun is very, very strong, Frank seems to really struggle against many of the very meta options, including Penny, Barley, and Bibi. If it weren't for them, he would still be S tier, but because they're just such good counters and they're so common in Siege right now, we just couldn't justify leaving him in the S tier. Leon is also making his way from the S tier down to the A tier. His super obviously allows for incredible versatility, but the fact that he has to be really close to enemies in order to really take them down, and he has like a really slow reload speed, it just means that he's only going to get like 3 shots of burst DPS on the brawler, and that just means that he's just a little bit too much of a liability to maintain that S tier position. Bo is moving from the B tier up into the A tier. Now that he has more DPS, there is a huge reward in landing his shots. Also, the fact that his supercharge actually reloads a lot faster means that he's going to be able to use his super much more frequently against enemy bots or enemy Ikes. Bull is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. It was a really close vote, but with dive strategies being much less viable, Bull's viability just really has decreased in Siege, and we found him really struggling in the current meta. Rico's moving from the non-competitive rank up into the B tier. Now, while he's very vulnerable to Barley's, Rico provides a unique option for sustaining ranged control, especially against those melee brawlers because of his increased damage. Additionally, we decided to remove Mortis from the B tier and put him in the non-competitive tier. He's really good at obviously like going in and grabbing bolts, but in order to get the bolts, you have to sustain that control, and Mortis just really struggles with sustaining control against, like, you know, Pennies and Bibis with her knockback and stuff. While Mortis can collect a few bolts here and there, he struggles to deal damage to the Ike and to the enemy robot, and really just becomes a liability. But wait, there's more! Here we have the overall tier list. Now the first thing you'll notice is that Carl is actually still the #1 brawler. In version 12 of the tier list, he was S tier or golden S tier in almost every single mode, and now he's S tier or A tier in every single mode. Bibi has also moved up from the bottom of the A tier to the top of the S tier, and Bo has moved from the A tier down to up into the S tier. Penny has also moved from B tier all the way up into the S tier, and another notable mention is Bull moving from the A tier down into the B tier. For the bottom 2 brawlers, we have Tara and Jessie, and interestingly enough, Shelly's close to the bottom despite her star power buff. Once again, I want to give a huge thank you to Brawl Stats and the collaborators that really helped put this tier list together. I could not have done this with either of them, and I really appreciate their efforts. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about this meta. I'm definitely going to be reading the comment section below, so make sure you drop that down there. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.